All right, everyone. Thanks for joining today. Today we're going to be talking. Thank you for joining. First of all, happy St. Patrick's Day. Today we're going to be talking about the Adobe panel and the Final Cut Pro pane. We could call them probably both panels, but we wanted to share with you some of the really cool technology we feel is really will kind of help editors, help your team, and maybe some interesting tips and tricks to help improve your workflow. Today I have myself, Damien Chalk. I'm I guess technology expert, Universal Production Music technology expert. We have 𝗏𝗏 We have Mark Rome as a music director, and we also have John Lentz, who's also one of our most senior music directors. So today we have a lot of the our biggest guns, if you will. You may know them from email, and maybe you've been able to kind of get music searches from either of them. It'd be great to kind of hear their stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over the panels first, and then we're going to take some time at the very end, answer a couple questions, and listen to some of our new releases from Mark and John. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce 𝗏𝗏. 𝗏𝗏, go ahead and take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. And as we get started, I wanted to ask a question. Hopefully you guys can see it. How familiar is everyone with our panels? You expert level, basics, or have no idea what it is that we're talking about, which is perfect because that's why you're here.
That's right.
The answers are coming in. It's a little bit of both, basics, and some have no idea what's going on, which is fine because I don't either.
Well, that's great. That's great. So what we're going to do, that's why we're all here today, to kind of go over this and kind of explain, what we're thinking, what these panels do, how they work, and maybe ways that they can help improve your workflow. So let me go ahead and start sharing my screen. Go ahead and share my entire desktop here. Be sure, if any questions kind of come up over the course of the chat, make sure you pop them in the Q&A. Instead of just popping in the general chat. One of the great things about having a Q&A, we can actually queue them. So we can always go back through and review and make sure that we don't miss anything. So with the chat, it starts flying by. Sometimes it makes it really difficult to kind of read those. So let's start off with what the Adobe panel is and where we can find it. So from the Universal Production Music website, you can find our Adobe and our Final Cut Pro extensions under universalproductionmusic.com, and then under the tools menu here. You'll see here we have direct links to download the Final Cut Pro extension and the Adobe Premiere extension. We call it the Adobe Premiere Pro extension. One of the important things to note is that it's actually Adobe panel. So you can actually use the Adobe panel in Adobe Premiere, Adobe Rush, and also in Adobe Audition. So those are three applications where you can actually just use that one extension, grab the music, get that music added to your projects. It's very, very, very well integrated. So maybe that's something that you need. Maybe you don't need access to the Premiere Pro. Maybe you're inside of Adobe Audition. Very easy to get that enabled for yourself. You can also find, depending on a lot of the users, depending on your setup. Sometimes you might be required to download it. Maybe there's like certain IT rules or your technical department kind of restricts certain things. So that everybody knows, we also have the panel, at least for Adobe, we have it on the Adobe Exchange. You can find that directly there. So if your network permissions kind of are such that you can't download things that kind of are from third parties or from websites, please, you can find that in Adobe Exchange by simply typing in Universal Production Music, and it's the only thing in there. Well, we hope, right, John? We hope it's the only thing that's in there for right now. But just by simply clicking install now, as you can see, I've already acquired it, so I'm off to the races, which is a good sign because I'm running the webinar, so it's probably good that I have it installed. And then finally, if you are a Final Cut Pro user, We also have it. It's also available by the Apple Store. So you can just, all you need to do is fire in Universal Production Music, and it's the only application you'll find in there. You install it, and one of the beautiful things about Apple, whiz bang boom, you're done. It'll make sure that it gets installed and everything else goes in the right place. So that's a really brief overview on where you can find those. We will be including the links to each one of those, so you don't have to worry about writing those down or screenshotting my screen. You can just quite simply, you'll see that in the chat. So let's get started. What does it look like? So once I've installed the application, and we'll start with Adobe Premiere Pro. One of the important things to note is that this application, there are so many similarities between the Adobe Premiere Pro and the Adobe the Apple Final Cut Pro version. So we'll just run through it. As you would come to expect, you have all of the great search functions and features from within the panel itself. You can fire in I think this is what I did. You can fire in a search term such as Irish, and now I've got all the Irish music here. Obviously, with all my versions, you'll notice here there's this little stems icon. I can download stems directly into my session. I can just download the individual file, or I can download any of the different versions here. Also, too, as you would expect, we have all of the filters that you've kind of grown to love from the Universal Production Music site. All of that functionality is kind of mirrored here. So you can also filter down if you're using maybe a little bit terms that are maybe a little bit more broad. Obviously, hitting play. I don't know. Can you hear that? Can we hear that? Can you hear my audio? I may not be sharing audio. You can hear my audio? Perfect. So you can play the track, and you can also skip through the timeline as you would expect, and then also have volume control. Again, this functionality that we're going over right now is mirrored in both the Adobe panel and in the Apple, the Final Cut Pro panel. You also have access to the theme playlist. So if I was looking for the St. Patrick's Day playlist, I could actually search that here. And as long as I spelled it correctly, it looks like I did. Bingo, winning. I can see all of my seasonal St. Patrick's Day playlists here. And like we had mentioned before, we can either preview them or we can download them directly into our session. Also, too, this is one of the great things about this panel. When I'm logged in with my account, if I look at my projects, what do I notice? I notice that all of my projects are mirrored from the site into the panel. So I have all of those same playlists are available directly here. For our workflow, one of the things that we've been finding clients use this for a lot is maybe the editorial people don't ever want to go to the website, and maybe the producers are just feeding them music. It makes it very easy to create a playlist, share a playlist. We've had other webinars in the past talking about how to create projects and share projects. We'll have more in the future, but it's a very, very cool way to kind of keep the editors editing and keep the producers producing. So, that's definitely something that we would encourage you to look into and see if you can work that into your workflow. And then finally, this is the one difference between the Adobe Premiere panel and the Adobe Final Cut, and the Apple Final Cut panel is the Cue Sheet Helper. There's not currently, we're working on it, but there's not currently Cue Sheet Helper support. Cue Sheet Helper is an amazing tool. Essentially, it helps for any kind of cue sheet reporting. It'll look at your sequence. It'll take all that information. It pulls all of the requisite data and outputs a nice Excel file for you, CSV file, whatever format it is that you need. It will pull that down and basically give you any of the kind of registration information that you need for any type of reporting, cue sheet reporting that you might have to do. So let's just look at, I'm going to go ahead while we're here. I'll go ahead and switch over to Final Cut. Final Cut is right here. Looks exactly the same. It's not docked as you saw with the Adobe Premiere panel there. Where do I find this? I find it by going to the extensions window here and pulling up the Universal Production Music. And as soon as I do this, it will disappear. And then if I do it again, it will reappear. Magic. So there it is. Give it a second. There it is. I'm now logged in. I'm not logged in currently into my account, but I can do that. But of course, all of that same functionality is here with the absence of the cue sheet helper. When you download your files in Final Cut Pro, it adds them directly into your bin here and adds it to the project. Same thing if I were to, I'll just go ahead and download Action Burst, show you what that process looks like. I click the download button, it imports the files, and as you can see here in my bin, adds those files automatically right in there. I can go ahead and drag that in, and I am off to the races. So now I'm ready to go with those particular cues. Let me go back to, and of course, the same functionality, exact same functionality for Apple Final Cut Pro as well. With that, are there any questions?
There's one from Vicky who asked if she has the sound effect subscription. Does that have a different plugin, or will this work for both subscriptions?
The sound effects are not, the sound effects subscription is not supported with the Adobe panel. Can I use random videos from my cell and make a video like that? Not quite sure what you're asking, but yeah, if you have access to Adobe Premiere or Apple Final Cut, of course you can capture that video, add it to a particular session, and as long as you have a registered account with the Universal Production Music website, yes, of course you can download and add music to those videos. All right, perfect. So I guess it's very straightforward, which, as we all know, when we talk about development of software and these types of things, it's good to know that it's very straightforward and that there's not a ton of questions. So that's great. Naomi, take it over to you, I think.
Yeah, thank you for that. And in celebration of St. Patrick's Day, according to the legend, what did St. Patrick chase out of Ireland? Man, you guys are really good. I had no idea. I'll give it a little bit longer. That question did stump me. I don't know much about the history of it. And man, you guys are really good. I'll share the results. You are correct. It was snakes.
That's great. Well, look, one of the things we like to educate and inform. I think that's one of the goals of this overall. So that's really great. Let's go ahead and kick it over to John. Our John is one of our senior music directors, and he's put together some new releases and some notable highlight music to share with you all.
Okay, let's share the screen. Does that look right?
Looks great from this side. Okay,
great. The album I'm featuring today is War and Conflict on our flagship Evo label. A couple of reasons I chose this album today is War and Conflict is very much on the front pages of the news these days in Eastern Europe especially. And this album is composed by two female composers. We don't normally see that on an album like this, but in celebration of Women's History Month, I thought this would be a good one to feature. One of the composers is 𝗻𝗲𝗄𝗃. She's a British composer, and she's worked with IKEA, Land Rover, and Peaky Blinders in season 5, has won several awards, and is a fantastic composer. Let me play a couple of the tracks that she composed. The first one here is The Forces Align. track like that is great for a documentary or the backstory or painting a picture of war and conflict. Second one here she composed is track 3, a prelude. Great string arrangement to depict the prelude of war and the uneasiness. Lots of emotion in that particular track. The second composer on this album is Lydia Ashton. She has been composing for television and film for the last 15 years. Some of her credits are from the 𝗏𝗏 Show, and some of her music was used during the NBC opening ceremony for the Olympics. First one I'll play from her is Facing the Tide. Once again, depicting the emotions of war and conflict, and with a slight build in the entire track. The next one is Our Strength in Numbers. So that's a little more sounding for the actual Battle of War itself. But these particular pieces can be used in a lot of different areas, some of them for investigative, some of the slower numbers. Anytime you want to depict conflict or uneasiness, many of these have an uneasy or mysterious type of mood to them. So it's an album I highly recommend for that sort of thing. So give it an audition if you can.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John. What a great album. I mean, it's so epic. It sounds amazing. Thank you for that. And we're going to introduce Mark Rome, Senior Music Director. I think many people on this call have probably like I said, had experience with both, but I'm sure it's great to have Mark grace us with his presence. So he's going to share some great tracks with us. Let's see.
Awesome.
Turn it over to you, Mark.
All right, thanks. It's maybe a little cheerier music. Let's find out here. Let's see. Here we go. So I've been getting requests lately for music like retro soul, music with brass. Stomp clap is always a big thing. This album from London-based Abbey Road's Masters label has it all. All albums in this library are produced at the legendary Abbey Road Studios. Nearly every Beatles song was recorded there. Also artists like Pink Floyd, The Zombies, Ella Fitzgerald, some newer bands like Oasis, Lady Gaga, Adele, Radiohead. Everybody goes there. And their big room has held full orchestras to record scores for films like Raiders of the Lost Ark, Lord of the Rings, and films from the Star Wars and Harry Potter series. So that's the kind of sound you'll hear in this library, that amazing classic full sound. It just, everything sounds amazing that they put out here. This one is called Heavy Soul Riffs. And kind of just like it says, it's like a very soul heavy. It's got the brass guitar stuff. So here's a little taste for you. Big Hammond B3 sound in there. So there you go. All right, Damien. Oh, you're still muted.
Thanks so much for sharing that. You know, one of the things I find interesting about anything coming from the Abbey Roads label is it all has that English sound. It all really, it's got such a distinct sound, and it's really, really cool. Each one of those tracks, you can just hear it. It just like oozes attitude and really has that Abbey Roads vibe. So I think that's really, really cool. Thanks for sharing that, Mark.
Sure thing.
So I think, look, we wanted to make sure that I think we've covered a lot of stuff today. We covered the Adobe panel. We covered the Final Cut Pro panel. As always, we covered two incredible albums. I think, if there's ever any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. All the contact information is on the website. Any further questions, any more detail that you need about any of this stuff, hit us up. We're always here and ready to help. I guess with that, let's move over to I think Naomi has another one of her special polls for us. Can't wait to see what this one's about.
I do, Damien. Thank you. I just want to see what everybody wants to learn about next time. Sound effects, ways to find music, which is our Get Inspired and Discover, or searching through mood, genres, and collections. Nice. I'll end the poll. We're looking at sound effects.
That's
Great.
awesome.
Thank you guys for the input. Appreciate it.
Thank you. So just to answer a couple of questions, the quick questions in the chat or in the you can find a recording of this webinar on our site, and I believe that's / it's under where is that? Get Inspired and then webinars. Is that correct?
Yes, and I put the link in the chat.
Perfect. Awesome. Wanted to thank everybody for joining us today. Have a happy, well, you know what? We're going to end a little bit early. We'll give you 4 minutes to go, enjoy your St. Patrick's Day, or maybe we have a nice little lunch in celebration. And everybody have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much. Bye.